and this is your UWW TV Sports Update. I'm Kimberly Reinders, and I'm joined by Austin Dowdle and Matt Bruzes. And our job for the next 60 minutes is to take you through the pregame festivities leading right up to kickoff. Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of RHA News. I'm your host, Kim Reinders, and here's the latest news out of the Residence Hall Association. We all know tattoos tell a story, but they could just be something to symbolize something that means a lot to that particular person. At Majestic Tattoo Studio, these artists are here to help make those dreams a reality. In a space that was previously a flower shop, it became one of many tattoo shops to open in the Milwaukee area. Jimmy Rakowski shares how he got started on his path to be a tattoo artist.
I've always been drawing on everything.
Just as the shop was about to open and start accepting customers, they were forced to shut down due to the coronavirus. They spent many months wondering when they would open again. This gave these artists a chance to work on their designs as well as make some cool digital art. Once they passed all their inspections in May, they were allowed to resume operations, and their customer base has been growing every day. Tia Kuhn knew drawing was a part of her, but now it has become permanent.
I've wanted to be a tattoo artist since I was 14, and I spent a lot of time trying to get into shops in any way that I could. And when I was 18, I went off to college and I did some other things, and just none of it made me happy. And so I started really pursuing becoming a tattoo artist. And I walked into the shop where Jimmy was working one day, and showed him my art, and he liked it, and now I am where I am.
They love doing their own designs on their customers, but will gladly accept designs that you bring in as well. Extra precautions are taken to ensure everybody's safety during these interesting times. Becoming a tattoo artist isn't easy, but if you dedicate the time, you will succeed at it. Located on Greenfield Avenue, just down the road from the Wisconsin State Fair Park, Tia and Jimmy are always open to accept walk-ins, or you can call 414-988-5225. For UWW-TV, I'm Kimberly Reinders. Remember a time when we could sit 3 people here and not have any issues with distance? Now we can only fit 2 here. If you want a third, they got to stand over here. In the fall, UWW-TV took a hit when it came to no live sporting events. During that time, the station has gotten creative when it comes to programming that they air. Student Research Coordinator Austin Dowdle talks about how he had to adapt his role with no live sporting events.
My role has been extremely different. I used to be the guy that was getting all the research done for the football games, the baseball games, the basketball games, and I would make sure our announcers were ready for the game, that they knew everything they needed to know. But now we're doing a show called PMI Sphere, and now I do all the script writing, so that's where my research goes. So I'm still doing the research, it's just a lot different than it used to be.
Implementing safety protocols, the station has undergone many changes, including how many people can be in at once, as well as new ways to clean. Equipment checkout remains the same, but station employees must take an extra step and ensure the equipment is cleaned and ready to go for the next person. The station has also adjusted their hours when it comes to student equipment needs. UWW-TV Program Director Eric Stelter talks about how the employees have adjusted to these new guidelines.
So in the past, we've had equipment that's gone out, come back in, and we do occasional cleaning from time to time. Now it's just become a regular part of the check-in, check-out process, making sure equipment is clean before it goes out and disinfected when it comes back in. So the big concern was if we were going to have enough equipment to go in and out. It'd be between cleanings. Fortunately, assignments have been kind of altered, so there's a lot more virtual parts this semester, so we've had time in between the returns to properly clean, let the equipment kind of set for a while.
If you are looking to get involved, stop by the UWW-TV Tech Office for more information. For UWW-TV, I'm Kimberly Reinders. And especially looking back at that Oshkosh game that the Warhawks played in, really, it wasn't the greatest game that they had, but it was a great point for them to use as a stepping point for the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, and I think looking forward to the night, I think it's going to be important to see the Warhawks. They need to be able to shoot the three ball. Going 0 of 15 from 3-point against Oshkosh last week, I think that's something that's just terrible, and you cannot win a game with not making a single 3-point shot.
Really, the biggest thing was the shooting. That was kind of downfall for the Warhawks there, where they were only 30% shooting in the first half and 41% in the second half.
Yeah, that's big. Even that's considering the Warhawks are even still considered the number one in the WEAC in field goal percentage. So even after a tough loss like that on Friday, that shows a lot how much talent this team has.
Well, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll talk more Warhawk men's basketball, including some of the players that are keys to the Warhawks' success tonight. Stay tuned. This is Warhawk Sports Wednesday, live on UWW-TV.
Good evening and welcome to Conover Studio on the campus of UW-Whitewater. You're watching Warhawk Sports Friday live on UWW-TV. Today we bring you women's basketball featuring the UW-Whitewater Warhawks hosting the UW-Platteville Pioneers in a WEAC conference matchup. I'm Matt Bruce and I'm joined by Sam Matheny. Our job for the next 30 minutes is to take you through pregame festivities leading right up tip-off where Austin Dowdle and Jake Donahoe are standing by. Let's get our show started by talking about how the Warhawks staying after 5 games and they come into today's game with a 3-2 record. But Sam, what are some of your key takeaways from the last 2 games against UW Oshkosh?
Well, in the first game, the Titans made 25 free throws. That was actually more free throws made than shots that they made from the field, which was incredible to think about, which means the driving factor was the foul trouble. It was so hard to overcome for the Warhawks. And you know, Oshkosh, they play that spread offense, and that's why Leah Porath was able to go out there and make shots off the bounce against the one-on-one defender because the offense is completely spread out.
Yeah, and those 2 games, the Whitewater didn't even keep them close. Whitewater didn't really keep the scoring up, didn't really go pound for pound with them on scoring. And then this game is key tonight for Whitewater. They got to make sure that they keep in check with Oshkosh. Make sure, but Oshkosh does hold a tiebreaker, so Whitewater's got to make sure. Whitewater's got to keep winning, but Oshkosh's got to lose some games as well.
And in that second matchup, the Warhawks only made 6 points in the second quarter, which really hurt their chance of that comeback. And I think they have to be able to produce on all quarters and both halves of the game if they want to be successful this year.
They're going to need a full 60-minute outing, but UW-Eau Claire sits at the top of the standings in the West Division. And one key note, UW Oshkosh does play UW-Eau Claire in the last week of the regular season in that crossover game. So what are you expecting from that? I mean, Whitewater could benefit from that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's going to be the key matchup to watch out for in this regular season will be Eau Claire versus UW Oshkosh. As we know in this WEAC schedule this year, they play them twice. So I think that's going to be the big matchup, the undefeated versus the one-loss team. It's going to be important to see how that shapes out for the WEAC tournament seeding.
And both those games, UW Oshkosh and UW Eau Claire, they pretty much have both of them in hand. If you look at both of those standings, UW Eau Claire beat your referrals on Wednesday by 25 plus points. UW Oshkosh has been firing on all cylinders. As we predicted this season, they would start off slow against that one loss to Platteville. What are you looking for? Talk to me a little bit about what you saw from the Warhawks in the last game against UW Platteville.
Yes, you know, it was a back and forth game. The lead changed 12 times, and I think the Warhawks won because their defense stepped up to start the game and to end the game, respectively in the first and fourth quarters. You know, they held the Pioneers to a low field goal percentage in both those quarters, which was important, but all credit to the Warhawks defense being able to close and open the game. That's exactly what they needed.
Yeah, Joanna Taylor and Leah Grandal were 2 really key players that benefited from that game. Going into overtime, I really thought Joanna Taylor stepped up with her defense, and she really took it to the paint. She needed key buckets when they needed. The game was close all game, and so I really think that Whitewater had what it takes to win down the stretch.
And speaking about the Pioneers, you know, Maya Domask, she's just been completely incredible for this team. She had a double-double in that last game, nearly 15 rebounds, and had 5 assists too, and also chimed in 12 points. So that was key to look out for in that game.
Yeah, Emily and Rebecca Schumacher both scored 9 and 12 points respectively, and those were 2 key scorers coming off the bench. And I think that those were impact minutes that Carrie Crowell trusted them both with, and I think that that's going to continue for today's game.
And you mentioned Aaliyah Grandal. Wow, what an incredible season she's having so far. I mean, she had 10 turnovers in that last game, the second matchup they had against Oshkosh, but was able to clean it up cleanly and be able to come out and not have a single turnover in that last game. That was crucial, and I like how Carrie Corralo is using her in this lineup this season.
Yeah, Leah Grandal scoring 25 points and 10 rebounds in that previous game. on Wednesday versus UW Platteville. She got a double-double. That was a career best for her. So you look out for her to be a prolific scorer in today's game as well. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk more Warhawk women's basketball, including some of the key players that are key to success for Warhawks tonight. Stay tuned. This is Warhawk Sports Friday live on UWW-TV.
This has been one of the weirdest seasons for Big Ten football. Teams like Wisconsin having to sit out games due to COVID-19, and teams like Minnesota, Iowa, and Michigan having down years too. Should Ohio State be punished for this odd season, or should they have a shot at the college football playoffs?
I think they should have a shot because I think that since the College Football Playoff Committee has not set a minimum requirement for the minimum amount of games to be entered into the playoff, I think that Ohio State has shown enough on the field that they should be one of the best 4 teams in the country. They've shown it because they're able to win the games, and they're able to have style points as well, which is a big criteria for the committee when ranking teams. And I just think that Justin Fields is too good of an athlete, and I think that Justin Fields is going to lead the team after the loss that they had last year in the College Football Playoff to Clemson. I think that Justin Fields and Ohio State will make sure that they win the next 2 games, win the Big Ten championship, and get into the playoff.
I'm going to have to agree with Matt on this one. I think that Ohio State is just too good of a football program right now, and I don't think that they should be punished for anything that has to do with the shortcomings of the other programs. I mean, Wisconsin having COVID problems, yes, but that's nothing to do with Ohio State. Michigan's having a down year. Who knows if Jim Harbaugh is going to have a job coming into next season. It's just a little bit of an off year for the Big Ten overall, but Ohio State is still winning games, like Matt said. And I don't think you can punish them for that. They're still too good of a program to not make the college football playoff.
Absolutely, you can punish them for that. It's called not letting them go to the playoffs. They played 4 games, guys. This is ridiculous that you even think that they deserve to even have a remote chance to get into the college football playoff. Literally, they have no chance because of the games and the amount of games they've played. They've only played 4, and somehow they're ranked above teams like Texas A&M and Florida and Clemson, who only has 1 loss. So I don't even know what you guys are talking about, to be honest.
Okay, but Sam, how do you see the SEC playing out? Because if the SEC plays out the way that it would in favor of Ohio State, which is in the realm possible, they could get into the college football playoff.
Well, this is how I think it's going to play out. I think Florida's going to beat Alabama in the SEC championship for the first time since Tim Tebow was there. And I think that's going to happen, and then both teams will be into the college football playoff. That's what I think, honestly.
Yeah, but I also think that since there's 2 teams in the ACC, one of them is going to get knocked out.
Yeah, and that's going to be Clemson, because Clemson, they're going to lose to Notre Dame in the ACC championship.
I think that both teams in the ACC championship game have made their point of still being one of the top 4 programs in the country. I mean, Clemson being the defender of the national title, and Notre Dame coming in and giving them a run for their money earlier in the season. Bama's still Bama, unfortunately. But I think you're really undermining the value that the Big Ten has. I think top to bottom, the Big Ten is the best conference in football. I mean, even the Rutgers got a win for the first time in conference play, I should say, this season. And this is, again, it's just been a weird season. But top to bottom, there's too much talent to just ignore the Big Ten overall and not have Ohio State get in.